And I want you to be, if you ask me my own term, I want you people to be nation positive. What I mean to say is that you should be useful to the nation when you grow up. And when you grow up and you are useful to the nation, it also means you are useful to you, because there is nothing bigger than a nation scientifically at this moment. Coming to the basic principles of human system. This is coming up in my next book. Human beings are said to be cooperative species by the scientists. But when I discuss about this particular aspect in terms of national security, or what is the well-being of the public, well-being of the people of a nation, which is the job of the king or the government to provide, where the king and the government is we ourselves, we have to understand everything is not cooperative. So the scientific definition of human system, which is a cooperative species, not individual species, is not sufficient as far as I am concerned, because there are conflict within it. So I normally say it's an interactive system. In that interactive system, we have to make people nation positive. Nation positive doesn't mean you're all supporting the government. Government is not the nation. Even opposing is a support. So nation positivity is what I want you people to develop. And for that, it is possible only if you are really solid. Really solid. That is something which I have seen among many people who are nation positive. So basically what I want you to become is a very effective, interactive human being in the future, in your next phase of life. What is that next phase? Some of you sitting here are already in the next phase. There are only two phases in human life. Forget about all what you are telling. I will switch my job, I'll go to something else. That's all nonsense. They're minor things. We go through the educational phase in the beginning. What I'm going to talk to you people will be familiar with some of the some others who are sitting here, but that doesn't mean they cannot get it into reiteration, which perhaps I may add a little more than what I've been talking to them before. And these are all based on absolute professional tests by living through it. So any human being goes through two phases. The first phase is the educational phase, where you learn and also you earn, where earning is secondary. Primary is learning from parents, yourself, from teachers, and from various others. And then you reach a stage, shift suddenly into the next phase, which is actually running parallel with you as a secondary phase, which is called the career phase. This is the phase where you start earning money, even when you are in the educational phase, when your father gives you pocket money, when your uncle gives you money for your birthday, when you steal from your father's pocket, which I have done. You earn money. If money is ultimate, money is presently the ultimate, even in the national building, but that's a different issue. So you are earning at that time, but this particular secondary phase comes to the forefront as the primary phase when you shift over from educational phase to the other phase. That's what's going to happen to you in next one semester or 2 semesters or 4 semesters, those who are sitting here, because according to me, only very few of you will join MBA in the career phase. I studied MBA in my career phase. I studied law in my career phase. I studied national security or how to kill people in my career phase. But up to my educational phase end, I was doing studies in my schools, colleges, and finally in the alma mater that's going to be yours, Regional Engineering College, which is the National Institute of Technology, Calicut today. Thereafter, I've studied much more than I studied before in various university and institutions, but that were all along with my career, where career is the first primary phase. So what's going to happen to you is that the moment you finish in NIT, whether you see that building or bricks and mortar or otherwise, you have stepped into your career phase where you will be now thinking about jobs. Forget it. You think about the career phase and see that in that journey till the end, when your visa expires, you should not have another phase that is called the disability phase, which even the United Nations uses in calculating the longevity of a human being. If you can go through that without a disability phase, that itself is a great success. Now, all of you will be thinking about the career. You want a career better than the other person's career. That's nonsense, absolutely ridiculous. You just do what you want to do, because income can be earned. Income is what you're looking for, that can be earned in many different ways. There are 3 types of income. Some economists will say there are 7 types of income. Some economists will say, for me, there are infinite number of incomes. 3 types of income. They say it's earned income or passive income or portfolio income, and all these things you will learn in economics or personal finance. For me, there are innumerable ways of earning income, but that's not the important part of it. The part of it is living your career life and allowing your knowledge phase or educational phase run parallel to it, secondary to it, like the Pamban Bridge where there's a road and rail. When you go in the car and cross from Pamban to Rameshwaram, if you're going in the car, that is your primary track, and parallel to you is the railway track running. If you're going in the train to Rameshwaram, your parallel track is the road, that road bridge. Abdul Kalam's house is immediately after that. So you decide. Now you are going through your educational phase, you will shift to the other phase after this, the career phase. But the educational phase is with you. I'm still studying. After leaving the previous service, much earlier, the continuous service called the military, I went on to research and teaching. So what's happening there? I'm still in my career phase, but educational phase is parallel to it. I wrote an exam in a language. I wrote an exam for the master class director for the companies, because I've been working with public sector undertakings. I learned another thing which is very important. Then finally, I am still in a class which I'm supposed to learn, but I dropped out like Bill Gates, because I want to enjoy that dropping out also at least once in my life. So I got a chance to learn something and drop out from that. That's interesting. I bunked the classes. Isn't it interesting to, one of the reasons why you should join college is to cut class and go to the canteen. That has got a special attraction. But that doesn't mean you stop studying. So you will have a career phase, whether you like it or not, but that is the best phase in the life. No, both the phases are the best. I do not know about disability phase. I have seen my friends getting into Alzheimer and suffering for 10 years and then finally dying. I don't know whether he was having a comfortable life or a better than the other 2 lives. I don't know. But when I look at it, I think it's not actually correct. So the disability, So that's why the United Nations uses the term DALE, D-A-L-E, disability allowed life expectancy. Otherwise, you have a career phase, an educational phase from mother's womb. That's what we call Abhimanyu, isn't it? Till you finish your graduation, get into career phase. But along with that, there is a career phase, which I had at the age of 22. My mother had when she finished her 7th standard. I know people who finish matriculation or 12th standard and get into the career phase. There is nothing special about any of these things because you can still continue your studies. Now, after 22nd years, I joined the career phase. Then I continued my studies, MBA, everything. Whereas you are studying MBA during your educational phase. Some of them, I had students who were already working, and that is why they had MBA or law course, etc., while they are still in career phase, which you can. So continue with that. Now, whatever you do is to using your knowledge for other aspects in the career life, like living, family, etc., etc. There's a part of it. Actually, don't think that you are creating all this, all coming to you. Here, I want to give you an idea about time. Try to realize what I'm saying, not trying to say. You try to realize what I'm saying. Do you know in Kerala, for example, I belong to Kerala, and also in the hilly areas and other places, it must be happening. When it rains, lot of water will flow down, like the flood water or flash flood or whatever. The water will come at such a speed. It will also carry many things with that. The flood waters will carry many things because it's going as per the gradient from the hills to the sea, which is at the lowest level. That's simple physics. There are people, in fact, I have seen a movie in Kerala where the protagonist, the hero, waits for the flood waters to come uphill to the downhill. He will wait there with certain tools and he will start collecting whatever these flood waters are carrying down. This flood water will bring vessels, dead bodies, living bodies, girlfriends, so many things these flood waters will bring. Cows. He will catch those lumbers, the wooden logs which come floating in the flood water, collect it and sell it. Now look at time. Time comes to you like this flood water, carrying many things with it, very, very specific to that individual. Along the time is coming to you, like the wind is coming to you. You are not going into time. Traveling into time is out of question unless you are talking about seeing through time, whether forward or aft, which is irreversible time. A small principle which I learned in my mechanical engineering, when I read about a definition in my heat engines textbook in second year or so, written by Wrangham. It is given there a concept called entropy. Entropy is the measure of unavailable energy when the sink temperature is kept constant. None of you understood. I also didn't understand at that time. So I went to my friend who was the best in the class, who later became a senior professor in MIT in the United States. I had met him there also, and married a lady 10 years elder to him, his professor, lucky fellow. He taught me what entropy is. That's very, very interesting. And entropy is something which keeps going whether you like it or not. It will never come back. In this process, you feel time. Nobody else feels time. No stone, no tree, no monkey feels time unless it is embedded in it by default. But human beings can feel the time, and you will say, I will spend my time. The idiot doesn't know that he is not spending the time. The time is passing through him and he gets a feel of it. This time brings a very special thing. This is what another student who studied in NIT Calicut said. Dr. Albert Einstein. He talked about relativity theory. He was referring to it. He talked about difference between space and time. Don't ever mistake space for time or time for space. Time is something you cannot control. It depends upon your entropy, and entropy is beyond that. And the time will control you. Allow it like you sit in a barber shop. Let Mr. Tankavelu, who was my first barber, cut your head. Allow him. He will push it this way, push it that way. Allow it. That's what time is about. So if you can handle this time, you can earn that much peace of mind. There is nothing known as peace. It's an abstraction. Mind, another abstraction. But the problem with abstraction is that, or rather if you can accept, abstraction is real. No, it is wrong. Abstraction is not unreal. Abstraction is not real, but it is not unreal. And we got to live in that kind of a system because that's all the neural system which we got, the primitives of the life forms. Among the intellectual life forms, there's only one, that is the human being. We are just starting. So if you can use your intellect, appreciate time, you will be able to manage. And the most important thing about time is, your time is different from my time. And time is not what is given in an analog system. Time is what you feel. It starts when you are born, and when you are born is not when you are actually came to the earth. You are still in your womb, in your mother's womb. That time, somewhere, this triggers as your intellectual development. And what is intellect? Intellect is the survival tool of human beings. Survival tool of human beings. That's the only thing you should use, and that too forward facing time. Then you survive. It's not possible because you can get into trouble. Then your mind will not work. But let me ask you one question. I am a person who spent all my time in the sea, in the ocean, among dangers and difficulties. I have realized if I have to save a person who is drowning, I may have to get into water. If I have to save a man who got caught in the fire, I may have to go into the fire. So, if you have to survive your life, you have to enter trouble. So why are you hesitant to enter trouble? Just now, Rekha had a small problem of getting into the net, getting into the contact. It's quite natural. Somebody goes for an exam and comes back, I failed. What is so special about it? If you go and see your results in your college and you don't find your name in the registration, that particular list of past student, or you find you are failed. Failed is not a term which we have to use. I've told Abdul Kalam also this thing. He uses fail all the time with a different way. I said, so there is nothing known as fail. Fail is a mark which some idiot has made that unless you cross this benchmark, you won't pass. I don't accept it. You don't fail. So if you go to see your result, come back, and if you start crying and saying, I failed, I don't understand why. But if you come back as a cow all of a sudden, then I can understand that something has gone wrong. Or you're gone as a girl and came as a boy after seeing your result, I can say something has gone wrong. That won't happen. So here, I would like you to understand yourself, all these things. I'm not talking philosophy, I'm talking physics. Imagine I have a boss. I go to that boss, and the boss shouts at me. Okay? The boss shouts at me, I tell him, sir, go to hell. What's happening that time? I have created a gradient. My supply head in the hydraulics have come down, and delivery head has gone up, which I cannot climb. So what's happening if I tell my boss, go to hell? My confidential report, at least 20 marks, I will lose. What's happening there? Physics. You have created a gradient in which you are going to slip. But suppose I tell my boss, sir, please, sir, I understand, but don't increase your blood pressure because of me. That boss will feel, nice fellow, Paleri. He may give you 20 marks more. You put him in a gradient. If your wife gets angry with you and comes to you and shouts at you, hold her like this and give a kiss so that she can't talk. That is where you use physics, the only science in the world that can be applied to management. Very much applied to management. We can't make people work like in the military. I cannot make a Brahmin cook chicken, but I have to. I have to make a man who never killed anybody to kill. They are intelligent people. They are not like quotation killers working for somebody like monkeys. A soldier is a professional. He got intelligence. He got his own value system, and he has to kill somebody. So I can teach him in a different way. You kill, but salute that body after that. Well, he feels slightly better. So those kind of things we have to understand. And I want each one of you, my students, be useful to others. Confidence. It's easy, it's not difficult at all, because you got only two lines, two tracks to go forward in life, relatively with respect to time. Now, these things which I'm talking to you is only to give you a caution that life is not that difficult as you think, but you may not get it exactly correct, because these are the things which have to be used to condition you, especially recondition you, because your conditioning is already over. But I do it with my subordinates when I work with them, or my bosses when I work with them. The bosses are more anxiety oriented than my subordinates. My subordinates know I am there, so they are not much worried. But my bosses are worried. So what I do with them, sir, don't worry, I will do it. Leave it to me. This is what I will say. In other words, I'm telling him, sir, for heaven's sake, go back and sleep with your wife. Don't trouble me now. I will do your job. So once you do that, you got to find out the solution, which I have worked. It has even worked with my ministers when I was dealing with them. Upward motivation. You study motivation in management, theories of behavioral science. This is upward, and all of you think that motivation is downwards. No, but more motivation is required upwards. Maslow's theory of hierarchical needs and all is wonderful, but you got to modify it in present day situation. So these are the things which I want you to know, because I know you, and I'm actually addressing those young students who are still in educational phase here, not Shitanshu and other people. They are capable of teaching me at this age now. They have learned a lot. So I want you to know this particular thing. This is what I have put in my book called On Human Investment Management. First, let me tell you, management is over. Management is passé, is gone. Management originally what they create in Harvard Business School or Taylor's theory, scientific management and all these things were okay. But that was within a capsule called organizational boundaries. Today, since Cadbury's report after the London Stock Exchange failed completely, it changed into corporate governance. But this governance was there since the time of Romans, Julius Caesar, Athens, Sparta. That's what they called democracy at that time. That is beyond your horizon, beyond your boundaries. When you cook something at your home, which I used to always use an example, some of them would have heard, like Rekha cooks something in her home, Rajapalayam. What is that you cook? Whatever. She cooks for her members of the family. But suppose she cooks a little extra and takes it to the neighbor's house and saying, look, I made this particular thing here and I brought it for you. It becomes governance. You get into the stakeholder bandwidth. That's what a national governance has to do, and that is what leads to national security or well-being of people. Here you must understand why I'm not talking globally. I'm only talking about nation. Simple. I told you humans are interactive. What does that mean? They have to live together. If they are living together, all what the money which you can earn in your career is from these people only. You can't earn money from a cow, but you can earn by selling a cow. But it still comes from the people. And the smallest of this is the family. The first time you got some money is from your father, from your mother, from your uncle or somebody. This you must understand. Then, after the family, the next organizational format is, say, a resident association. Or you keep going with your corporate sector and various other things, organizations, politics, and things. That finally, you reach the nation. Nation is what is known today as the highest level of organized human system. And this nation which you are talking about is the nation which is a European model which started from 1648 after the Westphalian treaties. After the Catholics and Protestants fought for 30 years, this conclusion they arrived at, and that is the model which we are following today as a nation. But your territory can be much older than that or less older than that. That's a different thing. We are not coming into that. So that is the highest. Why global system is not accepted by me? Because global system is not yet a system. Global system doesn't have a boundary. A system cannot exist unless it's a boundary, and a system cannot be managed systematically unless it is a system. Even an egg is a system. Even an embryo is a system. Human system, the smallest is a family. Largest is a nation. And that is where governance comes. So I will say use those principles now to manage corporates, your business, anything for that matter. Here, I have mentioned quite a few things to you, and I want to tell you about the intellect as a tool. You would have heard about prisoners with a spoon in his hand, a tool. That prisoner would have carved out a tunnel. There are cases with a spoon or with a screwdriver or with a broken plate. They would have carved quietly a tunnel to escape, and they have escaped. Imagine if a spoon can be a tool to get into get into freedom from the incarceration. How much we can achieve with the intellect as a tool. Intellect is a miner's light. You can turn this way or turn that way. Look into the future and try to live your future, which is actually getting into the time. So here, quite a few things I've spoken with you, but I will certainly come and see you when you come to NIT. If the professors don't permit me, we will go and meet at Chittakadavu or Kattangal or someplace. Don't worry. I'll come and talk to you many things, but I would like to get some questions from you. I have a hell of a lot of things to talk to you, which cannot be completed today. But I have a few other points also, which I want to tell you that is still they're quite big as if I have, as it is, I have loaded you with many things. So I do not want to go further on that. I will still continue and talk to you later on after the questions if you have. But first, let me ask you, do you have some questions? If you have, I would like to listen to that, because that's where actually I gain something out of this talk, because I will be able to appreciate what you're telling and I can learn further. In fact, my granddaughter long time back called me. She asked me, Nanu, what are you doing? Long distance call. I said, look, I am writing. Then she said, what are you writing? Actually, I was writing about God in my national security book. So I told her I'm writing about God. Then she asked me, what is God? I said, no, I couldn't immediately answer. She said, oh, you don't know? Isn't that a lesson? Isn't that a lesson in communication? You learn every moment. Whatever you learn, put in your intellect, process it, see through time. Don't be a monkey. We are actually called great apes. Chimpanzee, gorilla, orangutan, gorilla, bonobon, and then comes human beings. It is time for us to separate from that. Let's call ourselves as Homo sapiens sapiens, or sapient human, at least from 21st century onwards within this COVID time. COVID is not an enemy. COVID is not a disaster. COVID is just a natural process. And if you have not been able to come to NIT during your sessions, there's nothing to worry about it, because you have something else in lieu. Never use the term would have been. Never use the term I missed it. You cannot miss anything unless you get something in lieu of that. I navigate ships out at sea towards the enemy target or towards another port. Whenever I alter my course, what's happening? The previous course is gone forever. What does that mean? There's no question of I would have been. People say, if I have not married you, I would have got this. No, it doesn't happen. People say, if so-and-so was the country's king, it would have been like this. People say, if Germans have won during the Second World War, the condition would have been like this. No, sir. It cannot happen. So there is nothing called choice. There is nothing. There is only one track or one continuum. Within that, I want you to survive. And that is so easy. All those anxieties which you got can be removed. I will give you an example. I don't know whether she is listening. She is not a student. Day before yesterday, this lady went to a bank. She wanted to send some money to her daughter. Big money. She filled her NEFT form. In that form, she made a mistake of the long digit IFSC, long digit account number. She made a mistake. Anybody can make a mistake. and she gave it there, and her money has gone, but not gone. If you teach management information system, you will understand that. ATM card kind of a principle. Money is there, but looks money is gone. She could not sleep. She panicked. Her developed cold feet. She got worried, and she indirectly told me. I not met her yet, but I know her. The poor lady could not sleep, could not sit. She developed cold sweat. She thought all her money is gone, and she did so many things after that NEFT form. She filled up wrongly and gone. 24 hours she panicked. I told her nothing will happen, but she doesn't believe me. Naturally, when you're panicking, how can you believe? 24 hours of her life, she got worried. That was not necessary. What she would have done, she would have then and there took another NEFT form, filled up, or whenever she came. Okay, we are back. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yes, sir.
Very
Yes.
good. There was a slight flicker. I told you things can go wrong. There could be even an earthquake. Don't worry. We'll manage that. So, what I was trying to say is that this poor lady, because of so innocent, she got scared when she sent a bank transfer through the network, and which is actually the easiest thing to do now, better than the other methods. And she thought she lost the money. She didn't know. She panicked. She became anxious. This can happen to anybody. So, one thing I want to tell you is that never get anxious, but that is not easy. Whenever you get anxious, listen to what I told you just now. You may have to enter the fire to save somebody who is in the fire, which could be you yourself. You may have to enter the water to save a drowning person, which could be you yourself in your real life, which is a function of time. Nothing to worry. Just enjoy that ugly life. Life is damn ugly, but that doesn't mean life is not beautiful. It all becomes beautiful as the way you make it. My problem is not that you'll be looking for a job and you'll be upset that if you're not getting a job or kind of a thing, but in NIT you'll get a job. My problem is that how are you going to manage that job? That is where the charm of life comes. Throughout my life, I had more than one career at the same time carrying along with that, and I now find it difficult. Every time I get into trouble, I used to enjoy it because that's an opportunity to save the drowning person. You learn swimming in that. So this is the kind of thing which I want you to do, and quite a few other things, but I hope I'll be able to get a chance to meet you all in NIT Calicut. As I told you, even if I don't get, I'll make it. Not to worry. So, we are going to close down this, but tell me anything you want to ask. This is not sufficient, I know. But, hey, Jitin, you are also there? I
Yes,
think
sir.
most of the
Yes, yes.
students are my old students. Thank you, Jitin.
Yeah, sir.
All right. All
But
right. For them,
yeah,
it is all,
listen to you.
nothing is new.
When we get a chance to listen to you, we never miss that. So
Thank you very much. Now,
they were
Rekha,
kind.
yeah, tell me, Jitin.
Yeah, I was saying, I mean, the current students are also kind enough in the group, and they do share and keep sharing those updates with us. So we are also now connected with your mentor-mentee thread. Sorry, mentor protege. So I think that they have reinitiated. So now, good to see the current batch is really taking it up.
I think this Ignite was initiated by our first batch of students that Priya had done it, and it was good. There are a lot of things. Great students, and I really love you all. So, Rekha, anything you want to ask or anybody wants to ask?
Yes, sir. Before we jump into the Q&A session, although we most of us know Paleri sir, but the ones who have joined SOMS this year, for them, I would like to talk 2 lines about sir. So, Dr. Prabhakaran Paleri is currently Emeritus Professor, Rashtriya Raksha University, Gujarat. So, he was the founding HOD of SOMS NITC, and he's still continuing to join us through these sessions, and we're really glad. And also, he is a former Director General of Indian Coast Guard, and he's also former Senior Adjunct Professor, SOMS Chintek Kannur. And we also welcome some of the students who have joined us from SOMS Chintek Kannur as well. And now, if any of you have some questions, you can ask, or else I do have a few things to ask from sir.
I have a question. Like always. I do have a question, sir. Sir, you said that let the time pass through you. Like earlier when I used to be in the class, we used to talk about looking into the future and managing through intuition. And if we are sitting at one place and waiting for time to pass us, and or waiting for time or things to take their own course, like how are we going to actually implement the whole principles of management, which is like planning, organizing, directing, coordinating, and controlling? Because if I don't have any idea, or if I don't have any ability or even in an intention to change what is going to be in the future, what is the point of managing? Like if things are going to take their own course, then the whole management thing becomes slightly redundant, isn't it? Sound. Sir is not audible.
So you're not audible. Now it's okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, yes.
Okay. I have blocked it. Actually, I do not have my main supply, but that doesn't matter. I got another one standby. Things won't happen the way it is, as if it is pre-planned. When the time brings you these things, which is only on your track, you can actually duck. You can choose. You can pick up what you want. Now, this is only an example which I'm giving you. The power to control our lives are within our hands. That is what I've seen in my own life. When I went for war, I realized it. I can kill, but I can prevent myself getting killed. But to certain extent, I found what I can do is much more possible than what I may get. Like, for example, my chance of getting killed is less than my chance of killing somebody, provided I don't allow myself to be killed. Now, this is a very complex statement which I made, Shridhanshu. I'll come and sit in Goregaon and listen to you and then talk about it, because I don't think that we can we are under some kind of bondage with life. Life is in our bondage. Actually, we control it, and that is where you have to use your time properly. I found this. That's what I want to talk to you about. Who are the best people to talk? You people, the youngsters who are the future. As I told everybody, I keep telling that those who are born after me is much superior to me. Women are much superior to men. Elderly people are superior to you because I've seen more than you. That's all the principle. So when I say that management has its pathway, think about governance and management is what? It's optimizing resources through people, that people you can take off, because we are all doing it through people. We don't have anything else other than people who is working for us. So management is optimizing resources for desired goals, which is end objectives. And that's exactly what governance is, except that governance goes beyond, which we can. But I know that I'm talking nonsense, as if I can use that terminology to you, because there are so many limitations. law of invariance which you didn't understand properly, which actually is true. It's not easy to understand, but law of the second law, these two things play havoc with us, but we can stand in between that and really become like a salamander and fire. It is possible, believe me, at least that life is actually ugly, but you can make it good. That's all I want you to know. And that is the charm of life. So you are doing business. I know that. I know you got into trouble, but you are losing money only what you have earned. You are not losing anything other than that. You are not losing. The only thing which you have to lose is life, but then death is different. Life and death are not like apple and orange. Even apple and orange are compatible, but life and death is not. Death is a very, very different phenomena. I'm writing this in my health security chapter. We talk about COVID as something very dangerous. It is not. It is necessary. And even if you say it is dangerous, it's not going to stop coming again and again and again. It's going on for the last 5,500 years. It is necessary to create life and protect life. But what the government does, that is governance. How they are doing it, that may be appealing or not appealing to us. That's all about it. Yeah, I know I have not satisfied you, but then that is my aim. Never satisfy Shidhanshu. Otherwise, he will never again come to listen to me. Okay. Somebody else? Rekha, you ask.
Yes, I have a set of questions for you. But then before that, I think everyone else can ask.
Sir, I do have a question long unanswered.
Yes, Abhilash, ask me.
So the recent news, recent news, we had a demise of Shri Dilip Kumar. And the first thing that came to my mind was your journey across the Malabar Hill when you went
to meet him.
Yeah. So that was a really memorable story that we had during our lecture.
Yes, that was actually a business lesson. How I could make money. How I could make Dilip Kumar to give me money which I wanted for my organization. That was a great. I think you learned something out of that, Abhilash. But I don't know that I can do it again because it all depends. But you people should do it. That is Shidhanshu doing that. Never said die. Never said die.
True. One small episode in my life when you were my HOD, 2012, I had bunked my classes for 5 days, and Shafi came to you complaining that Abhilash is not attending classes. And on the 5th day or 6th day, I came to you. I said, "Sir, I had been to INS Agrani for my services selection board for Indian Navy, but I couldn't complete, unsuccessful way." But what has always wondered me is what is it? I mean, a management graduate can look into the defense forces as a career. I have seen the other way around. Many have completed their services and then going for management degree. But I've never seen a management graduate more eagerly entering into the defense forces.
That is true because one of the reasons is that by the time you take management degree, your educational phase is already over 4 services. It is okay. Your education is okay for the corporate life. But if you have to join defense service, you got to join young because whatever they are going to teach you there initially are meant for those who are young and with a particular frame of mind. Thereafter, you study. For example, I did my mechanical engineering. I studied industrial engineering, etc. And I wanted to do MBA because I started that for a career. And in the career, I learned MBA. I learned from the army MBA, EME Center in Secunderabad. They had a correspondence courses, and few of us joined that, and we have to study that. And I have started learning as a correspondence course student with the EME Center in Hyderabad, Secunderabad, which is now a major management institute for the defense services. So in defense services, we like to teach management after they join, because by the time they'll be grown up enough for management, but before that, I have to get them to kill, teach them how to shoot. That's a different subject, or how to fly an aircraft or drive a ship. That is the reason defense services don't accept management, wait for the management degree. Today, you will be surprised in the Navy, if you have to join even the executive branch, you have to be an engineer. The Americans take only engineers. So they have these qualifications keep changing. And I studied MBA in PSG College of Technology because I happened to be in INS Agrani, where I was setting up the management training center for them. And I went as a student for MBA in PSG College of Technology as an executive MBA student for 3 years, because I wanted to do that. And there, what helped me was my learning from the army or through correspondence course. So this is how it goes on, but there is nothing special about it. You are the one who will decide your destiny. Don't expect any other, but you can always maneuver between these forces that is around you. I have been doing it with my colleagues and students, which I'm still doing with my old alumni in my college, etc., or the Navy. My course mates, I'm still doing. I control them. We talk about various other problems. Somebody died the other day. I have to console my other friends. It all worked very well. Very nice to see you, Abhilash. Excellent.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else?
Sir, I have one. Rekha, can I go ahead?
Yes,
Kevin.
Yeah, yes, sir. Jidin here, sir. Sir, I have asked you this in the previous session as well. Even I remember when we met in Chintech, that was the time when you was just 1 week passed from the moment you released Human Investment Management. And I remember you teaching that in our classes as well. I would, on behalf of, I think if I ask this, it will help all the, current SOM students, because recently they have conducted an alumni connect as part of their first year orientation program. So there were many confusions they were raising on which specialization, all those. We have tried to address and soothe in the context to an extent. And my question is in this way, sir. The same as I asked in last session as well. How do you differentiate human investment management and human capital management? So this is my questions.
Yeah, but that's a great question, because I can answer straight away. When I get into human investment management, the concept of human capital management becomes null and void. It is no more there. Because human investment management is a very different concept, which is appropriate to the modern life and very, very appropriate with a tough life in the military, etc., where actually what you're doing is the concept of Adams, all those olden days economists brought out. Okay, let me put it this way. Human capital is an economic term. It is the playground of economists. And if you look at old economic theories from Malthus or anybody, you find these concepts have come. It's very, very old. It is no more there, according to me, for to worry about it. Humans, neither resources nor capital, it's all different concepts. So what I'm doing with the human being is, you invest them in such a way as an investment instrument, which is very different. That means if I have you, Jitin, with me, what I'm going to do with you is I'm going to squeeze the maximum out of you, like an income tax officer does it with people who are supposed to pay income tax completely. But that is not sufficient. I want more, because you as a human being, like any other capital or any capital, let me use that term, is capable of growing further and producing more. That is another part of it. Like we said, training and development. Can anybody tell me what is the meaning of development in HR? Because they don't know. Training you can appreciate to some extent, even that is not clear. Development is a word you use because the training stops abruptly. So training and development or cooking food or whatever. Development actually is what? Increasing your returns, returnable capacity. Let me use another word here. I have a concrete pillar. That concrete pillar can carry a safe load. That safe load, if I exceed, it will be subject to can say compressive stress. But a human being, when he is subjected to stress, he can grow further like a inverted bell curve to bear it a little more, and his stress bearing capacity increases. Imagine you can design concrete which will be able to carry the load on it as and when the load increases. That kind of technology, that is exactly what human beings are. So when I say human investment management means, it's very different, where this person whom I get, whether he's a terrorist under me, suppose I am Bin Laden, if I want to use my terrorist, I can use human investment in management there. If I want to use a minister, I can use that also. But in human investment manage, you capitalize the person. He is not a capital. Adam Smith and all is finished. I don't use them. Malthus is finished. When I studied in HSC about economics, I studied Malthusian theory, which says as and when demographic density increases, the farming fields volume area will be less, so we won't have food. It is not true. We know today. Today we have 1.5, 150% food for 100 people. Food is never less. The Malthusian theory went wrong. Adam Smith, they were all right at that time. But I'm not disrespecting them. Capital investment. Capital is out of question. I don't use those terms now because I cannot define. For me, human beings are human beings, not resource or anything smaller than that. And I'm a person trying to say that human beings should understand they are much superior to what they are even thinking of them. This is what I want to tell you, youngsters. You are very superior. Believe me. At least you believe yourself. It cannot be anything. You are not capital, you are not a worker, you are not a manager. You like say you are a prime minister, or if tell me you are a prime minister, I say, no, I am not prime minister, I am Paleri. Paleri is superior. Human being. That is why learn to use that person. If I get you Jesus under me, you will never know that you have so much capacity. I have squeezed everything out of you and brought you everything. Happened with my people. I have sent a clerk to meet the chief secretary in Trivandrum to discuss on a major land problem. And he did it. The chief secretary was an admirable go. So human investment will bring the idea of human capital. But capitalizing it. You capitalize. I'm doing with all my students. I'm trying to capitalize you people when you get into that. To decide. And pass it on to your children. Pass it on to other children. Anybody's children is children, like if I deal with them like a child. That kind of a thing. Got it? No. You come again for my next talk.
Yeah. With
Who
whichever
else?
talk you may be doing, I'll be joining, sir. Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Right. Thank you.
So, Rekha?
Yes, sir. I wanted to ask that you spent some of your lifetime in as a former Director General in the Indian Coast Guard, and then a major part of it teaching students. So, which is the one you like the most?
I want to know whether I like the Coast Guard or teaching.
Yes, sir, which is the one you like the most, and
No, I don't like
why?
anything. I don't like anything, Rekha. Everything likes me. I was a
That's
naval
true.
officer. I fought a war. I was in the customs. I'm Ministry of Finance. But for me, all of them are my career phase. Like those when you travel in a train or up to Ooty from Mettupalayam. Now you're a Tamilian girl, that's why I'm using the Ooty this thing. When you climb those mountains, you will have all those clips that will hold the train back. isn't it? The train will be mountain train is normally going on a kind of pins which will hold it back when slipping back. Similarly, your job is only those zip pins which is going to complete your career phase. So everything for me is activity. So I started teaching when I was in Navy, because in the Navy or military, you will be put to teaching job when you are professional in something, and that's something which you have to teach, you will be put in. It's not the kind of or academic faculty. So put me teaching somebody when I was still a bachelor, very young, came back out at sea after a long tenure out at sea. I was ashore. I was in a training establishment, and that is where they send professionals. And my first set of students were people double my age. I was only 27 or something, and students were 54. I was teaching a set of students, a civilian student who special subject. That's how I started. When they started calling me sir, I got very embarrassed. Yes, later on I have taught people who are senior to me in Air Force, people who are elder to me. That's all. I continue all the time. I've trained with Iraqis, Iranians, Nigerians, so many foreign students. And it is finally I reached into regular teaching only after my retirement, when I thought it moved up to academics in full stream. So that's how it started. And research, I had to do a lot of research for Institute of Defense Studies and Analysis because the minister asked me, and National Maritime Force. So that's how my books came up. And then somebody put me as a director in public sector undertaking. There also I have to learn, I have to teach. So teaching was part of my career phase. And when I was in education phase, also we teach. No? Don't we play teacher and all when you're 5-year-old? That's teaching. So I cannot say which is better. It's just like asking me in a zip which link is better. So it's so natural. I had a wonderful life. Absolutely screwed up, difficult, beautiful. That's what I want you to. I want you also to know that is what you will have, so you can enjoy that. I enjoyed every word. My alma mater. Tell me. Yes, Rekha.
Yes, sir. So, did you have a roadmap to what you wanted to achieve, or you just achieved it on the go?
No, that's a difficult question because it's not simple. Roadmap is a terminology which we use normally. I'm very particular about semantic dissonance. That means what you say, I must understand. My career was the way it has gone. My life was so far the way it is gone. And I somehow get a feeling I know it. And that is why when I say something like you can see into the future, it is possible. That is what our intellect is. If I have a torch in my hand, my granddaughter, when she was very small, will show it up on the ceiling, that torch, and she will enjoy that circle there. But actually a torch you can use towards forward when you are looking into the future to live and steer, or backward when I am carrying out a murder enquiry or any other enquiry. Suppose there is a homicide and I have to investigate that, which I have done. And I have to go back into time or into irreversible time. And irreversible time is what? First stage is history, second stage is legend, third stage is myth. So they land all into each other. So what you know as myth today, like for example, take a pharaoh of Egypt, you have to come back to know it's all truth, but not real. So what happens here? Now our lecture today, after 15 minutes, will be history. Now, whoever is going to talk about what I said will have distortions in it. Slowly, it will vanish into legend and maybe get totally attenuated into that. So similarly, our life is actually moving forward and then into the past, becoming history, legend, and myth. If you take Ramayana, it's myth, but it is not unreal. You got to come back. You have to investigate. That is what I call it MLH process. Myth, legend, history process. If I have to go to murder mystery, if I have to go and see who killed this particular fellow as a police officer, I will first see, I have a choice. It is still in history. But if I have to see who killed Chandragupta, I have to go into myth. Who killed Jesus, I have to go into myth. Something has happened, but we don't know what we hear today is what exactly happened. So this particular principle, if we can follow, all are about time. Space is actually irrelevant. Irrelevant according to me. When you make a castle on the beach over the sand, you automatically make a moat around it also, because that is where you put the sand. So the castle becomes a matter. The empty space from where you took the sand becomes the space. So if I ask you to tell how will you make a universe, it's very simple. You just need energy, which you can convert into matter. That's all about it. So the matter in the outer space are the extraterrestrial objects, including planets, everything. And the space is from where you took this damn thing. That is why we say it is exploded. Same thing about life. When you lose your job, somebody kicks you out, say Jitin kicks you out, he is an HR expert. Jitin didn't like your face, so he throws you out. What happens to you? Jitin misses you. His space, there is space you created, and he went out. Get into something else. That's what I'm trying to say. This is not philosophy, my girl. This is science. And science is only one, that is physics or Pali. And all these things which I'm telling you can be nonsense. Because everything is relative. That's why I told you, my older friend, Mr. Einstein, is in REC Calicut, who is talking about relativity theory. So what is the next question? I know you have not understood it. Don't worry, you will understand later. See Siddhamshu, see Jitin, they have not understood anything about me yet. And one day they will say, this fellow is dead, now I don't know whom to ask. You ask me
Hi,
that,
sir.
ask someone who is in the present class. Adira?
Yes, sir. This is Adira, and I'm doing MBA at SOMS. Okay. When we interact with our alumni, actually we can feel that high energy when they say something about you. And my question is, do you have any special philosophies to deal with negativities and downfalls in life, and be so motivated and energetic all the time in midst of everything? Sir, I'm audible?
No. Yes, you are very much audible. In fact, I do not have any philosophy, because for me, philosophy is actually ancient faculty of science. That means what you really don't know, what you know, you express. That is what we call philosophy. So as far as possible, avoid philosophy. Philosophy is dead. Philosophy cannot be proved. Philosophy is the branch of science which Aristotle used, because they were wise, they were knowledgeable, but they have not developed the intellect to grow it, because they are not grinding wheel. Philosophy is, anybody says philosophy that is not real, but there is something in it. That is one. Second thing which you asked me, do you have a method of handling how do you define negatives? There is nothing negative, according to me. I told, in fact, Abdul Kalam got angry when I said there's nothing on us failure. It only failure is the first step of success. Nonsense, because there is nothing known as success. You can't define it. You can't define failure. Failure is a benchmark, and success is not a benchmark. So how can you compare these two? So I told him, he said, yeah, that makes sense. Because I used to sit with him once a while in my office, and we used to discuss. We had some joint work also. So I do not think there is anything called negativism. And if it is not there, there is nothing positive also except the blood group. You just live. I have a term, can I tell you, Adira, but it's not a good word. I always say, so bloody. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm losing network connection. I always use a word which I picked up from my senior officer, whom I respect quite a lot in the Navy. I know how he handled the Sikh riot in Delhi once upon a time. That man is superb. He always uses a terminology called so bloody what. Anything happens, he will say, so bloody what? You're all adults. That's why I'm using this. Use this particular thing, Adira. SBW. You went for an interview, you didn't get the job only because those monkeys didn't know how good you are. Sorry, Jitin. Jitin is an HR expert. So what I'm trying to say is that there is nothing negative, nothing positive. But I had gone through hell of a lot of problems in life, like anybody else will go through. Everything I withstood, except 1, 2, 3, 4 traumatic situations. The first one was a major trauma which I went through. I could handle it beautifully. Second one was another trauma which I still go through. Third one was another trauma, somehow I managed. Fourth one was another trauma which I still go through. It's not easy because my stress bearing capacity I have to increase to cover that one. Otherwise, all the rest were ordinary problems like losing a job, getting a job, fighting a war, and things like that. They're all ordinary, which we can handle. So I do not have anything, any kind of strength, except that I use these principles which I tell you. If I have stress, I consider that is my something which will help me to develop further, which is proven today. If you have stress, it can change your genes for the better, which is proven today. It is coming up in my book also, which is connected with a mustard seed, some kind of mustard seed. Stress is positive, provided you can withstand that. Like fire is positive, if you can use it, tame it, develop it. Now, I'm also bringing a new topic called how do you use conservation of energy principle to create energy from the spent energy, which is happening in, I think either in Scotland or Ireland is happening. They're working on it to create oxygen and hydrogen from carbon dioxide. You know, CO2 only have O, oxygen, but they are going to make it petrol, carbon dioxide. So if that will solve most of the problems. So if energy can be neither created nor destroyed, then naturally energy in any form you can convert into energy which you want. This comes in the energy security principle of national governance. Things are going to be very good for the human system unless they create problems themselves. But that will not happen. Ultimately, you are all going to win because I had a beautiful life in a bad situation. You will have a better life in not so bad situation. That's how it is going to be for you in future. So don't worry, Atira. If any problem, contact me. That's all I can tell you.
Thank
Anybody
you, sir.
else?
Sir, I have one question.
Yeah. Christy.
Yeah. Hi, sir. I'm Christy from second year MBA batch. So this is a pretty general question. So we have been hearing like the unemployment rates in our country is increasing day by day and year by year. And when we look into our state, Kerala, we can see like it is around 24 to 25%. So, and many of my friends who had did the PG and post graduation and all the doctoral degrees, they have been looking to migrate to some other countries like Canada or something. So they were, and actually we are losing these brains, right? Like they are contributing to another economy, and our economy is losing these brains. And but how we can tackle this problem? Like if we have to see in the future thing, like how we can tackle this? That's my question, sir.
If you are deputy and I'm the prime minister, I will tell you, Krishni, don't worry, go home and have a cup of tea. The problem is solved. But since you asked me this question, I can tell you 2-3 things are here. One is something which I spoke with Abdul Kalam and he spoke about brain drain. I heard when I was a school kid. Brain drain. One thing is brain drain. Later I came to know what it is. That is not true. the power of India, get to an example, is that one out of people who are walking on earth is an Indian. The power of India is the power of United States. Who told me this? Junior Forbes. You would have heard about Forbes, who say etc. He had met, we had a talk, and he has told me how much our IT experts are helping America to go forward or other countries to go forward. And Japan have heard about that kind of thing. It is true, and how can I call them brain? The power of India is settled all over the world today. And not only that, these brains which go from here are getting opportunities to develop it further and become a better investment instrument. The capacity is increasing. What I told Jitin just now. So there is nothing known as brain drain. Forget that energy. Second thing is, can you hear now?
Yes, sir. Yes, you're
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Sir.
You may not. There's a problem with the electric. Don't worry, I'll talk. Brain drain is not an existent problem. Now, second is that never repair something which is not broken. What I'm going to tell you is that never solve a problem because there is a problem, because a solution will become a problem. This
Sir, you are on muted. You are muted. Please unmute and continue, sir.
okay, can you hear now?
Yes, sir.
Very good. And only thing is I don't have one light in this room, otherwise everything is fine. Why did you take so long? Rekha,
Yes, sir.
can you hear me?
Yes, sir. But voice is breaking a bit. Otherwise,
How is it now?
yes, sir. Better.
Sir, we can conclude with
Slightly
a few your last few
Yes,
words.
yes.
We can conclude.
Thank you anyway. Thank you very much for all of you for listening to me and bearing with the situations. And we will meet again and again. And when you all come to the NIT, I will ask Dr. Shafi to give me a chance to address you and all. Thank you very much. God bless. You all will do well according to me. Otherwise, let me know. I'll
Thank you,
make you do
sir.
well.
Thank you,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Before we officially end, I would like to invite Surbi Nirgudwar to deliver the vote of thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Rekha. So, good afternoon. As it is well said that feeling thankful and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not gifting it. So, on behalf of NIT Calicut today, I take the opportunity to put all my gratitude into words to thank everyone who has contributed for this session. At the outset, I thank our today's speaker, Dr. Prabhakaran Paleri sir, who gave his vital time from his busy schedule to grace this meeting and for truly enlightening us with their commendable talk. We are grateful for the time and efforts you took to share your thoughts and experiences with us. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Further, a session like this cannot happen overnight. The wheel starts rolling weeks ago. It requires planning and bird's eye for details. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of really motivated and dedicated colleagues. I would also like to extend my thanks to the coordinators for working hard for this session and all the colleagues who had attended the session with great enthusiasm. With this, we have come to the end of the session. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. We can.
Thank you, Jay.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Thank
I would
you.
just request you guys to stay for a minute so that I can take a screenshot.
You could have taken
Thank
it
you,
before.
sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.